Namaskar, a warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is VC Pramod and with me is Aditi Lumba bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. North Korea fires 2 short-range ballistic missiles off East Coast, marking it as the 28th round of missile tests this year. Dr. Rajesh Ranjan to be the next ambassador of India to the Republic of Cote d'Ivoire. Russia complains with UN Security Council against United States military biological activities in Ukraine. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar appeals all the nations to rise above political differences to address terrorism. Britain's Foreign Secretary James Cleverly arrives in India to discuss strengthening the UK-India relationship. Russian President Vladimir Putin praises Prime Minister Narendra Modi during a plenary session of the Valdai International Discussion Club. Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty advanced to the men's doubles semi-finals of the French Open badminton tournament. And in FIH Men's Hockey Pro League campaign, India beats New Zealand 4-3. North Korea fired 2 short-range ballistic missiles off East Coast with the projectiles falling outside of Japan's exclusive economic zone on Friday. South Korea's military said there were no reports of damage. Other details, including the projectiles' flight range, were not immediately available. The launches marked the North's 28th round of missile tests this year. On Wednesday, the United States, South Korea and Japan warned that an unparalleled response would be warranted if North Korea conducts the 7th test of a nuclear weapon. This month, North Korea has fired multiple artillery barrages into a maritime buffer zone that was set up in 2018 as a way of reducing tensions with the South during a period of ill-fated diplomacy. It also announced that it had staged what it called tactical nuclear drills that simulated showering the South with nuke-tipped missiles. Dr. Rajesh Ranjan, an Indian Foreign Service officer of the batch of 2001, has been appointed as the next ambassador of India to the Republic of Cote d'Ivoire. He is expected to take up the assignment shortly. Mr. Ranjan is presently High Commissioner of India to the Republic of Botswana. He will replace Mr. Y.K. Shailash Thangal, an IFS officer of the 1996 batch and the current ambassador to the Republic of Cote d'Ivoire.
Russian President Vladimir Putin praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi. During a plenary session of the Valdai International Discussion Club held between 24 to 27 October, Mr. Putin said that PM Modi carried out an independent foreign policy which served the interests of his people. Russian President said, despite all attempts to impose some kind of restrictions on India, Mr. Modi is like an icebreaker and continues moving in the direction which India needs. Mr. Putin said Russia and India have a special relationship built on the foundation of close cooperation, and New Delhi maintained a neutral stance during the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russia on Friday filed a complaint with the UN Security Council demanding an international investigation into the United States military biological activities in Ukraine. In a statement, the Russian Foreign Ministry said that the Russian Federation was left with no choice but to file a complaint with the chairman of the UN Security Council. It said the complaint was filed with a draft resolution to the Security Council. The Russian Foreign Ministry said, during the course of the special military operation in Ukraine, evidence and material were obtained throwing light on the true nature of the US military biological activities on Ukrainian territory. Shortly after the start of the Ukraine offensive, Russia accused the US of funding research into the development of biological weapons to establish a mechanism for the stealthy spread of deadly pathogens. The United States and Ukraine, however, deny the existence of any laboratory to produce biological weapons in the country. In today's Hotspot section, we bring to you the news commentary on India-Cambodia ties on the upswing.
India-Cambodia relations go back to the 1st century AD when Hindu and Buddhist religious and cultural influences emanated out of India to various parts of Southeast Asia. Cambodians are today predominantly Buddhist but retain a strong influence of Hindu rituals, idolatry and mythology. The pervading influence of Hinduism, Buddhism and Indian architecture are borne out by the magnificent structures at Angkor Wat, Angkor Thom, Bayon, Taphrom and other religious and historical sites in Cambodia. India-Cambodia bilateral relations are warm and cordial. In the 1950s, India was associated with the International Control Commission on Indochina. After the collapse of the Khmer Rouge regime, India recognized the new government and reopened its embassy in Phnom Penh in 1981 when much of the world shunned Cambodia. This factor, along with India's association with the Paris Peace Accords and the finalization in 1991, is fondly remembered by the Cambodian leadership. India also committed military and non-military personnel for the conduct of the UN TAC-sponsored elections in 1993. India was one of the original contributors to UN demining operations in Cambodia. The government of India also responded to an appeal by Cambodian government to undertake the conservation of the famous Angkor Wat temple during the period from 1986 to 1993 at a cost of $4 million at a time when peace in the country was yet to be settled. India and Cambodia cooperate in a number of multilateral and regional fora. Prime Minister Hun Sen formally declared his country's open support in favor of India for permanent membership of the UNSC at the South Summit Conference in Havana in April 2000. Cambodia has time and again reiterated this support at various international fora and during bilateral interactions. In the context of India's Act East policy and the ASEAN, Cambodia is an important interlocutor and a good partner. Contemporary times have witnessed expansion of cooperation in diverse fields such as institutional capacity building, human resource development, and extension of financial assistance in infrastructure projects, security, and defense. On the political front, there has been regular exchange of high-level visits. Bilateral defense cooperation between the two countries has been continuing with the conduct of annual training capsule for Royal Cambodian Armed Forces in peacekeeping and demining modules, defense training programs under ITEC, and ship visits by the Indian Navy and Indian Coast Guard. In November 2016, Indian Coast Guard ship Samrat visited Sihanoukville on a goodwill visit. In September 2016, an MOU was also signed by both the sides to promote parliamentary exchanges in the administrative branch and to jointly promote human resource development through exchange of experiences, knowledge, expertise, and study visits. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has held several meetings with Mr. Hun Sen, Prime Minister of Cambodia. The two leaders have had discussions on the entire range of bilateral issues, including cooperation in the fields of trade and investment, human resource development, defense and security, development, cooperation, connectivity, post-pandemic economic recovery, and people-to-people ties. They expressed satisfaction at the pace of bilateral cooperation. Prime Minister Hun Sen has emphasized on the importance Cambodia attaches to its relations with India. Prime Minister Modi reciprocated the sentiment and has stressed Cambodia's valued role in India's Act East policy. The leaders have regularly reviewed the robust development partnership between both the countries, including capacity building programs and quick impact projects under the Mekong-Ganga Cooperation Framework. Prime Minister Modi highlighted the historical and civilizational links between the two countries and expressed his happiness at India's involvement in restoration of Angkor Wat and Preah Vihear temples in Cambodia, which depict the cultural and linguistic connect between the two countries. Prime Minister Hun Sen thanked India for providing 3.25 lakh doses of Indian-manufactured Covishield vaccines to Cambodia under the Quad Vaccine Initiative. The two leaders also complimented each other on the 70th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between India and Cambodia that is being celebrated this year. As part of the celebrations, Prime Minister Modi has invited the King of Cambodia and Queen Mother to visit India at a convenient time. Prime Minister Modi also congratulated Cambodia on assuming the chairmanship of ASEAN and assured India's full support and assistance to Cambodia for the success of its chairmanship.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has appealed all the nations to rise above political differences to address terrorism. In his inaugural address of the informal briefing on combating terrorism, financing in local and regional contexts, Dr. Jaishankar said UN Security Council has regrettably been unable to act in some cases because of political considerations. He said this undermines our collective credibility and our collective interests. The External Affairs Minister expressed displeasure that key conspirators and planners of the 26/11 attacks continue to remain protected and unpunished. He said it was not the only attack on Mumbai, but an attack on international community. He said nationals of specific countries were identified before being murdered. Dr. Jaishankar said, together we should send a message that international community will never give up on holding terrorists accountable and holding justice. Dr. Jaishankar said terrorism may have plagued several regions of the world, but India understands its cost more than others. Dr. Jaishankar also presented 5-point agenda for the consideration of committee. In the first point, he said normative efforts at the UN need to be coordinated through collaboration with other fora like the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, and the Egmont Group. As a second point, Dr. Jaishankar expressed the need to ensure the effective and transparent functioning of the Security Council sanctions regime and making sure that they are not rendered ineffective for political reasons. He said objective and evidence-based proposals for listing of terrorist groups, especially those that curb their access to financial resources, must be seen through. In India's third proposal, he said critical imperatives to defeat the scourge of terrorism are international cooperation and concerted action against terrorists and their sponsors, including dismantling of their safe havens, sanctuaries, training grounds and financial and ideological, as also the political support structures. As a fourth proposal, he said all countries should recognize the linkages between terrorism and transnational organized crime, illicit drugs and arms trafficking, and strengthening multilateral efforts to break them. In the last proposal, Dr. Jaishankar requested all nations to provide innovative solutions to stop the usage of new and emerging technologies such as virtual currencies for fundraising and finances by terrorist groups. A 2-day special meeting of the UN Security Council Counter-Terrorism Committee has started in Mumbai since Friday morning. The theme of the meeting is countering the use of new and emerging technologies for terrorist purposes. Before the meeting, the committee members paid homage to the 26/11 victims. Speaking after the soft opening session, President of the UN Security Council, Michael Moussa, said terrorists are increasing the use of cryptocurrency and social media, and our response should be adept on the use of new technology by terrorists. Mr. Moussa said counter-terrorism activity should be a part of a bigger resolve, and our response should encompass at all levels and in a united manner. He also appealed to the nations to prevent terrorists from recruiting other members. After paying tributes to the victims of 26/11 terror attack victims, the External Affairs Minister said 14 years ago the city of Mumbai witnessed the most shocking terror attacks of our times. He said the task to bring the perpetrators and masterminds of the 26/11 attack to justice remains unfinished. He said coming together of UNSC's Counter-Terror Committee to the venue of Taj Mahal Palace Hotel is special and significant. The next leg of the meeting will continue in New Delhi on Saturday.
Britain's Foreign Secretary James Cleverly arrived in India on Friday for his first official trip to the country to meet his counterpart and discuss strengthening the UK-India relationship. In Mumbai, he will pay his respects to those who lost their lives in the 26/11 terror attack at the Taj Palace Hotel in 2008. On Saturday, he will travel to New Delhi to participate in the special meeting of the UN Security Council Counter-Terrorism Committee. The Foreign Secretary is also due to meet Minister of External Affairs Dr. S. Jaishankar to discuss the latest on the 2030 roadmap, the landmark commitment to boost cooperation between the UK and India over the next decade under a comprehensive strategic partnership. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to his UK counterpart Rishi Sunak. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said he has congratulated Mr. Sunak on assuming charge as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Mr. Modi said they will work together to further strengthen the comprehensive strategic partnership between the two nations. Both the leaders also agreed on the importance of early conclusion of a comprehensive and balanced free trade agreement. Mr. Sunak thanked the Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his kind words. In a tweet, he said, "The United Kingdom and India share so much." He said he is excited about what two great democracies can achieve as both the nations will deepen their security, defense and economic partnership in the months and years ahead.
Over the past 75 years since independence, India's largest public service broadcaster, All India Radio, has been the proverbial storyteller for crores of people across the country. All India Radio is celebrating 75 years of freedom with a series, Azad Bharat Ki Baat, Akashvani Ke Saath. It showcases the journey of India since independence in various walks of life through the storytelling of All India Radio. In today's concluding episode of Azad Bharat Ki Baat, Akashvani Ke Saath, we bring you the story of Man Ki Baat program, which is broadcast in 23 Indian languages, 27 dialects and 12 foreign languages.
First broadcast on 3rd of October 2014, Man Ki Baat is a monthly All India radio program in which Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses citizens on various issues and ideas pertaining to national importance. Through this program, the Prime Minister has developed a two-way communication process with the citizens and built an emotional bond with his listeners. Mr. Modi informs, educates, inspires, shares, reminds, urges and extols on just about everything that can contribute to nation building. He informs the people about the various initiatives and programs of the government, educates about the rationale behind those programs, shares early achievements made, cites personal anecdotes and experiences, reminds of our country's rich history and its great leaders, exhorts people to stay healthy and productive, and extols small achievements of people in every nook and corner of the country. The Prime Minister also tries to instill social and civic values, values of caring and sharing, of mutual respect for fellow workers and citizens. People also provide ideas, making suggestions and share their views either in writing or through a voice message recorder. The radio program is already creating impact world over. In response to Mr. Modi's appeal to the citizens through this program, over 10 million families voluntarily gave up LPG subsidy for the benefit of disadvantaged population lacking access to the clean cooking fuel.
मैं सबसे पहले उन 1 करोड़ परिवारों को शत नमन करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं, क्योंकि उन्होंने राजनेताओं को नए तरीके से सोचने के लिए मजबूर कर दिया है। 1 करोड़ परिवारों का सब्सिडी छोड़ना, बदले में करोड़ों गरीब परिवारों को गैस सिलेंडर मिलना, 1 करोड़ परिवारों का सब्सिडी छोड़ने से रुपयों का बचत होना, ये बाहरी दृष्टि से बहुत सामान्य बातें हैं। और सामान्य बात यह है कि जनता पर भरोसा रख करके काम करें तो कितनी बड़ी सिद्धि मिलती है।
The sale of khadi also increased after the Prime Minister's appeal.
ये आपका ही प्रयास है कि आज देश में खादी की बिक्री कई गुना बढ़ गई है। क्या कोई सोच सकता था कि खादी के किसी स्टोर से एक दिन में 1 करोड़ रुपए से अधिक की बिक्री हो सकती है? लेकिन आपने ये भी कर दिखाया। आप जब भी कहीं पर खादी का कुछ खरीदते हैं तो इसका लाभ हमारे गरीब बुनकर भाइयों बहनों को ही होता है। इसलिए खादी खरीदना एक तरह से जन सेवा भी है, देश सेवा भी है। मेरा आपसे आग्रह है कि आप सभी मेरे प्यारे भाइयों बहनों ग्रामीण इलाकों में बन रहे हैंडलूम प्रोडक्ट्स जरूर खरीदें और उसे #MyHandloom MyPride के साथ शेयर करें।
In his Man Ki Baat program, Mr. Modi connects with cross-section of the society, urban and rural dwellers, young and old, men and women, students and working population, consumers and producers, entrepreneurs or salaried class, farm workers and non-farm workers. Topics covered by the Prime Minister are wide-ranging, of course, but these are also very relevant to our times as well as for our future generations: energy and water conservation, job creation, adoption of modern farming methods, promotion of tourism, power of positive thinking. The Prime Minister chose a simple medium like All India Radio to share his Man Ki Baat with countrymen because it has always been the easiest and simplest way to convey your message to the common people of the country. All India Radio has been serving to inform, educate and entertain the masses since its inception, truly living up to its motto, Bahujan Hitaay, Bahujan Sukhaay.
Azad Azad Bharat Ki Baat, Akashvani ke saath can be accessed on @AIR News Alerts on Twitter, News on AIR official YouTube channel, News on AIR app, Facebook and Instagram handles. So tune in to All India Radio News for Azad Bharat Ki Baat, Akashvani ke saath.
Blackouts are back in Kiev as war takes multiple fronts. Ukrainian authorities on Friday announced further rolling blackouts in and around the country's larger cities amid ongoing Russian strikes targeting energy infrastructure. The press service of Ukrenergo, the sole operator of Ukraine's high-voltage transmission lines, said in a statement that emergency outages of 4 hours a day or more had resumed in the Kiev region. The mayor of Kiev said that the city's power grid was operating in emergency mode with electricity supplies down by as much as a half compared to pre-war levels. Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said he hoped Ukrenergo would find ways to address the shortage in 2 to 3 weeks, barring circumstances beyond their control. Officials across the country have urged people to conserve energy by reducing their electricity consumption during peak hours and avoiding the use of high-voltage appliances. Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia has reiterated the need for creating a fit-for-purpose global healthcare ecosystem. He said there is a need to ensure sustainable financing, international health regulation reforms and seamless discussions among intergovernmental negotiating body in WHO, GAVI, G7 and G20. Dr. Mandavia was delivering his concluding remarks at the second G20 Health Ministerial meeting in Bali, Indonesia on Friday. The 6th High-Level Dialogue on Migration and Mobility, HLD-MMM, between India and the European Union was held in Brussels on Thursday. The discussions at the meeting covered a wide range of issues related to the promotion of safety, orderly and regulation migration, including prevention of irregular migration. Both sides also discussed potential areas of cooperation to facilitate mobility and migration of talented professionals, students and skilled workforce for the mutual benefit. They expressed satisfaction at the successful implementation of India-EU Common Agenda on Migration and Mobility. As India and EU celebrate 60 years of diplomatic ties, the dialogue is an important dimension of the strategic partnership between India and EU. The meeting was co-chaired by Secretary Consular, Passport and Visa and Overseas Indian Affairs, Dr. Asaf Saeed, and Director General Migration and Home Affairs, European Commission, Monique Parrott. Representatives of the diplomatic missions of EU member states in Brussels were invited as observers in the meeting. The 5th edition of the dialogue was held in New Delhi in July 2019. The University Grant Commission, UGC, has issued a public notice regarding online PhD programs, saying that such programs offered by edutech companies in collaboration with foreign educational institutes are not recognized. UGC has advised the students not to be misled by advertisements for online PhD programs. It is also advised to aspiring students to verify the authenticity of PhD programs as per UGC Regulations 2016 before taking admission. UGC said it is mandatory for all higher educational institutions to follow UGC regulations for awarding PhD degrees.
India defeated New Zealand by 4-3 in the opening game of the FIH Men's Hockey Pro League in Bhubaneswar on Friday. Mandeep Singh scored twice in the final 15 minutes as India came back from a 2-goal deficit to get the winning goal with 3 minutes left on the clock. Mandeep Moore and captain Harmanpreet Singh were the other goal getters for India. Sam Lane scored twice and Jack Smith scored 1 goal for New Zealand. In their second match, India will take on Spain on Sunday. In badminton, Indian pair of Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty had advanced to the men's doubles semi-finals of the French Open badminton tournament. In the quarter-finals, they defeated Thailand's Hoki Takuro and Kobayashi Yugo 23-21, 21-18. This is the only Indian challenge left in the competition. In the ICC T20 World Cup, both the matches scheduled on Friday were washed out. The much-hyped clash between Australia and England at Melbourne was abandoned without a ball being bowled due to rain. It was the second match of the day after Ireland versus Afghanistan to be washed out at the Melbourne Cricket Ground and means all 4 sides will take a point each in their hunt for a place in the semi-finals. On Thursday, India registered an emphatic 56-run win against Minnows, Netherlands. They now have 4 points in the tournament. On the other hand, Pakistan lost to Zimbabwe by 1 run in a thriller at Perth. The result came as a strong blow to Pakistan, who are yet to open their account in the event. The Sensex and the Nifty today witnessed modest gains. Both indices rose even as the cues from global share markets were negative. The Sensex closed above 59,900 mark, while the Nifty settled above 17,750 level. A report from the business desk.
Sensex climbed 203 points to finish at 59,960. Nifty also gained 50 points to end at 17,787. At the global stock markets, Asian stocks logged losses following US share markets. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index tumbled 3.7%. China Shanghai Composite Index declined 2.3%. South Korea's Kospi and Japan's Nikkei 225 both shed 0.9% each. On the other hand, registering gains, Singapore Straits Times ended 1.5% up. European shares were also down in intraday trade. Crude prices declined after top oil importer China widened its COVID-19 restrictions, though benchmarks are poised for a weekly gain on supply concerns and surprisingly positive economic data. In intraday trade, Brent crude was trading at $96.45 per barrel. In the foreign exchange market, the rupee strengthened by 3 paise against the US dollar. The domestic currency closed at 82 rupees and 48 paise against the American unit. Arjun Chaudhary for World News, All India Radio.
Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Financial Times in a lead item says, Shanghai business optimism hits record low as COVID controls linger. The Guardian writes that Foreign Secretary urged to act over jailed British Egyptian hunger striker. The Wall Street Journal reports that Russia says it could target US commercial satellites in Ukraine war. The Washington Post, quoting a report, says prices are down, supplies are good, Europe's gas crisis gets reprieve. Japan Times informs that UK's Sunak criticized over plan to skip COP27. South China Morning Post writes that China-Germany ties in focus as Ambassador Patricia Flohr calls for level playing field and vaccine cooperation.
A quick look at the headlines once again. North Korea fires 2 short-range ballistic missiles off the east coast, marking it as the 28th round of missile tests this year. Dr. Rajesh Ranjan to be the next ambassador of India to the Republic of Cote d'Ivoire. Russian President Vladimir Putin praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi during a plenary session of the Valdai International Discussion Club. Russia complains with UN Security Council against United States military biological activities in Ukraine. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar appeals all the nations to rise above political differences to address terrorism. Britain's Foreign Secretary James Cleverly arrives in India to discuss strengthening of the UK-India relationship. Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty advanced to the men's doubles semi-finals of the French Open badminton tournament. And in FIH Men's Hockey Pro League campaign, India beats New Zealand 4-3. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Cambodia. And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.